July 9th, 2015. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 76 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So the internet loves, top 10 lists, right?
Yeah,
you know, these
sure.
different you go page through page, and usually it's just somebody's stupid opinion on something, right? And,
well, they're quick and easy is what it is.
yeah, it gets
so you can read it fast.
Hooks you in, yeah,
right.
yeah. It's like People magazine for the 21st century, right?
Right.
It's kind of mindless,
Right.
and you can go through real quick.
That's what USA Today is. It's a daily People magazine.
Yeah. Well, all right. So USA Today did this poll along with their travel website, 10best.com. They asked their readers what were the best casinos in the United States. And coming in at number one was Pechanga, up by us,
Nice.
right? You know, not any of the Las Vegas casinos or anything, you know, none of the big boys. But
yeah, it's nothing like, the Aria or some new big casino.
Right. It was Pechanga. Now, Pechanga is the biggest casino in California. And it is very nice. I mean, the times that we've been up there, I'd say it's one of the nicer casinos.
Yeah, it's nice.
The craps sucks. I mean, I'd have to say the craps is some of the worst I've ever been around, certainly in California.
Very boring.
Yeah, they use cards. When we were there, the dealers were just not engaged at all.
Yeah, at one point, a dealer actually stopped moving. I mean, he literally stopped moving. I don't know if somebody had to hit a reset button or what, but I mean, it looked like he stopped moving.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know why, for as good as the rest of the casino is.
Yeah.
But anyway, they came in first place, and so congratulations to them. Real quick, let's go through the top 10 just because there is something interesting as far as we're concerned. There was only one Las Vegas casino, and here we go. Number 2 was Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Number 3 was Foxwoods in Connecticut, so they kind of go together. Number 4 was La Berge Casino in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Number 5 was the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Biloxi. Number 6, our own Harrah's Resort, Southern California.
Nice.
Came in there. So I imagine there are probably a lot of people who voted on this who live in Los Angeles area.
Right.
And, come down to Harrah's. And again, we've talked about it. The nice thing is, you live in LA, you go down to Harrah's, Southern California, you play, and then you get all these credits that you can use in Las Vegas, right?
Correct.
Number 7, the Borgata. That one seems legitimate to me. That was pretty nice when we were there.
Yeah, it's a nice hotel.
Number 8, here we go. The only Las Vegas entry, Red Rock Casino Resort.
That's not even on the Strip.
It's not even one of the big ones.
It's not even close to the Strip.
No,
it's quite a drive out there.
Right.
And it is a nice casino. We've been there, or I've been there.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if you consider it a Las Vegas casino.
Well, I mean, it's in Las Vegas, but yeah, you wouldn't think if you were listing, all the casinos, you'd probably leave that one out.
Right.
Number 9, French Lick Resort in Indiana. And number 10, Thunder Valley Casino Resort in Lincoln, California. Now, this doesn't appear to be a scientific poll by any means. It looked like they just said, hey, readers, what's your favorite casino? And I think they might have even had a pool that they could vote in.
Maybe, yeah. See, we don't know the details. Maybe there were not any Strip casinos on there.
Who knows what they listed. But this is what came out. But we only mentioned it because we thought it was pretty interesting, the Pechanga came out. Oh, speaking of which, too, like we said, they strictly use cards for their craps table. There are no dice at all, right? But rumor has it they are going to be introducing dice, within the next month or so.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's what we've heard.
What happens.
Maybe that'll turn it around.
Yeah.
Because not only is it boring and the dealers were bad, but nobody was there. I mean, one might have to do with the other, but we then went down to Harrah's and there were 4, they only have 2 tables at Pechanga.
Right.
There was plenty of room at both.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 people on each table, max.
Yeah, we drive down to Harrah's, same time of night, and there are 4 tables that are packed.
Right. You can't even get on.
Yeah. So.
Well, if they do get dice, they're going to have to get dealers who actually can move.
That actually do things.
Yeah.
That's right. They'll have to teach them.
Someone will have to grab the dice.
That's right.
Someone will have to work the stick.
That's what'll start. They won't even have a stick.
Yeah.
They won't even know about it. It's like, okay, Bobby, can you grab those dice and give them back to me, please? On our last episode, we were talking about how reward credits under Total Rewards are good for 6 months. And the way that you can kind of extend that period is to just go into the casino and play. So if, you haven't been to the casino for 5 months and your reward credits are about to expire, go into the casino right away, play one hand of blackjack, and all your reward credits are extended another 6 months.
Good.
All of them. It's not like you lose any of them. Right. Every reward credit you have is extended for 6 months. We got a few responses from listeners saying, hey, going into the casino and playing is not the only way to extend those reward credits. Okay. So this now, according to Caesars Entertainment, are the different ways that you can kind of extend those reward credits. Number one that they list, of course, is going to the casino and play. Number two, they say, if you shop through their Total Rewards marketplace, that will also extend another 60 days. So if you go online, they've got this thing, Total Rewards marketplace, where you can go to all these retailers and buy. If you go through Total Rewards, when you buy stuff through these retailers, you get reward credits.
Yeah. Are these prices jacked up?
I don't think so. I think, this is not like using your reward credits to buy stuff. Yeah.
Because when you do that, you pay jacked up prices.
Yeah, it's like 2 to 1, something like that.
Right.
No, this is you actually go to the retailer's website, but since you kind of click through Total Rewards Marketplace, you get credit. And it says that you get 1 reward credit for every dollar you spend.
Okay.
Right. So that's another way to extend it. Now, by shopping through Total Rewards Marketplace, it says reward credits post to account in 45 days.
Oh, so you'd have to be...
Yeah, you may have to do it, less than 45 days before your expiration
expires. Yeah.
45 days. Why would it take that long? I don't know. Maybe
because computers are slow.
Yeah, they are.
You got to enter this stuff. Someone has to enter it, and then, it has to go through, millions of connections before it gets there. It takes a long time.
Yeah, you're right.
In the old days, someone would just write it down, and it was done.
It was immediate. Yeah. If I'd thought about it for a couple seconds,
just think about
that.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. The third way to extend your reward credits expiration is to purchase at least $5 in virtual coins by playing their Total Rewards social games on Facebook. Now, this is probably the worst way to do it.
Right.
But if you're because this is a ripoff. $5 in these virtual coins to play the game. Right. If you're desperate, though, let's say you've got like $500 in reward credits and they're about to expire.
Right.
It might be worth it for you to do this.
To waste $5.
Another way to do this. So again, this is through their Facebook games. According to this, it says reward credits post to account in 7 days.
Oh, quicker. They got a nicer computer.
A little quicker. Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably using IBM's, what's his name?
Yeah. What was the name? The one that played on Jeopardy?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He's probably posting
He's the one who's doing it. Yeah. And then fourth, and this is probably the best way, if you can't actually go into a casino, you can use the Total Rewards Visa. When you sign up for this Total Rewards Visa, they give you a certain number of reward credits right away anyway. You get platinum status right away. But every time you use your Visa, this Total Rewards Visa, you get reward credits, and that will extend your expiration.
That would be the easiest way because everyone uses a credit card for something.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
If that's something you want to do, that's a way to gain reward credits. Yeah. And according to this, it gets onto your account in 5 business days after the transaction.
So this is even quicker.
Well, yeah, I guess, but business days, that's about the same as 7 days, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So, that's another way that you can kind of extend those reward credits that expire in 6 months. We got an email from listener Dave who was telling us about an event that takes place in Las Vegas called BARGE, B-A-R-G-E, all capitals. It's an acronym. And it's funny, I had heard about this before, but I've never been. What it is, the BARGE stands for Big August Rec Gambling Excursion. Okay, now rec gambling, it's rec.gambling. Back in the old days of the internet, like in the 90s, not like the super old days when they created it, but when it started to become a big thing in the 90s, there weren't a lot of these slick internet forums that you go to now, and can post stuff to and have conversations. They had something called Usenet. And in Usenet, there were all these different news groups that were categorized by interest. So people with different interests could post to these news groups about things that they liked. There might be a news group.
It was no chat. It was just a posting.
Right. It wasn't a chat. Right. It was a posting. You'd read it, kind of like a forum now, but real basic. It was just text files and it was out there and there was no real monitoring of it.
Right. Okay.
So, if you were interested in, the stock market, there could be a news group devoted to that, and you could post things for that. So anyway, there was a news group. Well, I think technically there still is, but nobody really uses it anymore, called Rec Gambling, rec.gambling. Rec stood for recreation.
Okay.
Right, recreation.gambling. And people would post to this news group. I even posted to it a few times in the 90s about craps and stuff like that.
Okay.
Anyway, out of this Rec Gambling news group grew Barge. It was a week-long event that some of the posters to Rec Gambling created in Vegas to kind of get together. People who shared the same interests could get together in Vegas and,
and actually see each other face to face.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay.
So, it's turned into this week-long event that's mostly poker tournaments. They have some other events as well, but it's mostly poker tournaments. It's basically just a meeting of people who love gambling. And the nice thing is the poker tournaments are fairly low stakes, right? It's,
Good.
Maybe like a $50 entry, $75 entry. It's not like the World Series of Poker tournament
right.
entries.
So this is something that just an average Joe can do and not lose a bunch of money.
Absolutely. Although apparently some professional poker players do show up to this, but it's a much more kind of lively, fun atmosphere.
More friendly atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And some of the tournaments too, it's not just like all Hold'em or Omaha or anything. They have like goofy games.
Okay.
They go in and some of these games are, kind of like crazy fun, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they have wild cards, but multiple flops and, you got to use this many cards.
An AC-doocy game.
That would be good.
Goes on for weeks.
That's right. The pot's $100,000, right? Somebody got an ace, right? An ace. Anyway, they do it once a year. This year, it's going to be July 27th through August 1st at Binion's. It's always at Binion's. There were a few years where they had to take off because Binion's, kind of went under the family issues. Yeah, restructuring is a good way to put it. Yeah. So it's going to be at Binion's, and they hope to have it at Binion's every year. It's $30 to register, and I'll post a link to their page on our show notes. It's not something that we can do this year, especially with VIMP coming up, but right. I've heard about it for so many years. And when we got Dave's email, it kind of like, oh yeah, that's right, Barge.
Yeah, we need to go to that. And we've been to Vegas many times in that time frame.
Yeah,
end of July. We
never even thought about it. Yeah. Another nice thing too. Here's the thing. When we started this podcast, one of the things we kind of wanted to do was bring the home poker game to podcasting. There were plenty of, poker podcasts that dealt with just poker in general.
Right. Professional poker.
Yeah, that's usually what it was, following the tournament circuit, that kind of thing. Well, we thought, boy, wouldn't it be good to just, talk about home games and some of the kind of goofy games that you play. And of course, we've done that on our home game segment. At the Barge website, I'll post a link to this too. They have a big list of poker home games, right? Games that are kind of weird and, you got to discard here and you're playing this many number of cards, just like some of the tournaments they play. So I'm going to post a link to that.
Okay. Good.
Also, and this is so strange because I can't believe that I only recently stumbled upon this, but there is a podcast devoted to poker home game play. It's called the Top Pair Poker Home Game Podcast. And it's been going on since 2009. And I don't know how I missed this.
Do they post regularly?
Yeah, it's like every 2 weeks like us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And, I've only listened to like the last couple of episodes because I only stumbled on it. But, they try to talk about a lot of different topics. And I assume they've talked about different games in the past. The 2 episodes that I've listened to, they've been talking about the World Series of Poker a little bit since that's been going on. But one of the, hosts, his father hosts a home game, that they go to regularly. The current hosts on the show are Bruce and Robbie. So I want to give them a shout out, and I'll post a link to their page too. But yeah, there's actually a podcast devoted to home games.
There's probably something for everybody out there. We just haven't come across it.
I know. That's so funny. I can search and search and search. And, then suddenly it's like 2 weeks later. Oh, well, how come I wasn't able to find this to begin with?
Yeah.
Because they've been going up since 2009. They've got like over 200 episodes.
The internet's a very complicated place.
You might be right.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it.
I'll research it a little bit. Maybe I'll Google it.
See what it says. See what it says about the internet.
Yeah, that'll be good. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, Go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. I got through that perfectly.
Yeah, that was great. That was really good. We're having a banner day.
It's a good one. We're recording a lot earlier than we normally do, so we're fresh.
Yeah, we're fresh. It's morning time. I can see the sun.
All right. We got an email from listener Shannon. Let me read it to you. In your opinion, on a hot shooter, do you make more money by making come bets and then rebetting after they win, or making place bets and pressing them? My observations have been that place betting is better and has potential for bigger wins. So what do you think, Dr. Mike?
Well, yeah, I think place betting has potential for bigger wins if you're going to have a hot shooter.
Right.
If you knew ahead of time that this guy was going to roll, 60 rolls, yeah, then place betting would be the best because you could press it and, especially if they get stuck on a number and repeat a bunch of eights or something, you definitely have a better chance for a larger win. However, you don't know how long they're going to roll.
Yeah. See, I agree with you. If you know ahead of time, yeah, absolutely place bets because you know that those sevens aren't coming.
Right.
And the 7 is what gives the come bet. One of the things that gives the come bet the advantage. If the 7 comes up when the come bet's right out there, you win, right?
Beginning of the
so
roll.
if you knew ahead of time that 7's not coming up, by all means make the place bets, right? It's positive EV because you are psychic and you know what's coming up.
Right.
But yeah, you make a good point. If you knew it, yeah, that's definitely be better. But how do you know?
Without knowing, there's no real way to answer that question. What's better?
Sure. I mean, what's better on a hot roll? Place bets. You just don't know when the hot roll is.
Right. It's just knowing when a hot roll is.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you, for a while there, were keeping track of every roll.
Uh-huh.
Mark was writing down every single roll.
Yep.
And afterwards, we would analyze it. And Mark would run it through a computer and you could say, oh, yeah, this would have been the best way to play.
Yeah, yeah.
And we would come up with the exact perfect way to play. And a lot of times we still didn't win any money, right? It still wasn't a winning roll.
It still wasn't.
There was no way to win.
Right.
But we could tell you the way to lose the least.
Right. Now, I want to make sure that everybody is clear here that I wasn't writing down rolls to try to find some pattern or some perfect system. This was more out of curiosity. How did, our session go?
Yeah. It was just
more academic.
Right. It was more academic. It was to look back and say, oh, if we had only done this, we would have turned out better.
Right. And it's not like we're thinking, oh, that's what we need to do next time.
No. The next time we played the same way we always play.
Yeah.
We just were curious more than anything else.
Yeah.
And sure, in hindsight, we could find a way to limit our losses or expand our wins, whichever way you want to think about that. But without that, there's no way to know.
No. Mm-mm. And, it really, if you're asking what's the best way to play, well, come bets are better only because mathematically they're better.
Yes.
Right? That's
And here we should we make this point all the time.
Yeah.
But the best way to play is the way that is best for your pocketbook.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
Because depending on your financial situation at the time is going to determine a lot how you should be playing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. And if money wasn't an object, then it'd be easy to say, oh, play this way, you'll have the most fun and you have a chance for a big win.
Yeah, right.
But that isn't the case with anybody that I know, right? No matter how much you have, you still have limits.
Yeah.
So, the best way to play is what suits your pocketbook.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that we emphasize that. It's almost a theme on our show. It's like, well, what's the best way to play? Well, you want to have the most fun, but you want to make sure that your bankroll can handle it.
It basically turns out there's a lot of factors.
Sure.
And you have to put all those factors together and come up with the best way for you to play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, we got another email, this one from Mitchell. I'm going to kind of paraphrase this story that he told, and then I want to get your reaction to it too, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay, so Mitchell was playing 1-2 no-limit Texas Hold'em at Golden Nugget. He had bought in for about $200. After about an hour or two, a very drunk gentleman sat down to play, and he brought his own chips with him. In other words, he didn't buy in. He just had a ton of chips from playing whatever at the casino. And
pulled a bunch out of his pocket.
Right, yeah. He had some $5 chips, but mostly it was like several stacks of $25 chips and a number of $100 chips as well. Now, according to Mitchell, the Golden Nugget doesn't have a cap on the buy-in for its no-limit games, like most casinos do. And this guy had way more chips than anyone else at the table. So he just brought a ton of chips with him, right? So this guy was really drunk. He could hardly speak. He was spitting food on the table. He had no idea what he was doing. The dealer had to tell him every time it was his turn to act, how much to bet, etc. Mitchell said it slowed down the game quite a bit, but the other players weren't really mad because it was kind of comical, and everyone was probably thinking, ooh, I want to get this guy's stack, right?
Yeah, he's an easy mark.
Yeah, exactly. Now, eventually this guy wants to leave the table for a bit, go use the bathroom or whatever. But he insists on taking his chips with him. Okay.
All right.
Now, everyone at the table tells him he doesn't need to. It's perfectly safe to leave his chips on the table, which is true, right? And in fact, you're supposed to if you need to go to the bathroom, right? But this guy's drunk and it's a lot of money, so he refuses to leave his chips. So the dealer tells him it's fine, take his chips with him, right? So this is where Mitchell had a problem. They're going to save a seat for him. But what if he returns with fewer chips than he left with?
Right. He could lose some in the hall and the janitor could find them.
That's right. Exactly. Right. Accidentally flush some down the toilet. Right. Yeah. Isn't this like rat holing? If he wants to take his chips with him, doesn't he have to give up his seat and sign up again on the sign-up list to get another seat?
Should. That should be the rule.
Yeah. Now, Mitchell made kind of a half-hearted protest at the time, but the dealer simply said, it's his money. He can do whatever he wants with it. So Mitchell left it alone, which was probably for the best. I mean, I don't know that it was a kind of a situation where you need to make that big a stink. I told Mitchell, the technical answer is yes. This guy cannot do this, right? You can't leave with chips and then expect to have your seat there and come back.
Well, the biggest reason is because what if he doesn't come back? How long do you hold it?
Yeah, well, that's one thing too. I mean, some casinos do have a limit on that. Even if people leave their chips, like if they're gone for an hour, they say, "Oh, I'm going to go eat dinner." If they're gone for an hour, then they just kind of box up their chips and put them somewhere and give the seat to somewhere else. That's one thing too. Yeah, he should have to re-sign up. Now, see, this situation, obviously, he's not trying to angle shoot here. This guy is drunk, right? Kind of doesn't know what he's doing. It's not like all the chips that he had was the result of winning them from other players at the table, which is really what rat holing is when you win from people and then you start pocketing them, right?
Right.
This was just chips that he brought here, right? So, I don't want to say that an exception necessarily should have been made in this situation, but I think at least the dealer should have called the floor over and said, hey, this guy wants to leave. And then maybe the floor could make an exception because maybe all the players at this table is like, oh yeah, fine. Let him come back with his big stack of chips and, no knowledge of poker and what have you. But, the floor would have to say, hey, this is an exception here. And maybe the floor counts his chips real quick. Let me see what you've got to make sure that you come back with the same amount and then make him
close to the same amount.
Buy in for more if he's short or something like that. But again, that shouldn't happen. It's not
that would be hard to explain to a drunk.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
When he gets back, what happened to your 500 short?
Yeah.
You got to buy in for more. Explain that to a drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right.
That's a fight is what that is.
And the floors, they kind of need to be consistent in their rulings too. Right. So should an exception be made here? No, probably not. But I don't know. Technically the answer is no. This shouldn't have been allowed to happen. It's the wrong thing to do. He should have had to come back and sign up again. And then, some rooms too have a minimum amount of time that you can leave a table and then come back in.
Right.
Because what if some guy just said, okay, I'm taking off. I've got $1,000 in chips. I'm taking off. Immediately goes and signs up again, and then is given the same seat back. But this time he cashes in for, $200.
Right.
They don't allow that. So there's like a minimum amount of time where you have to kind of step away from the table. Yeah. Right. Before you can sign up. Certainly to get on the same table or even the same game, right? Same type of game. So anyway.
Well, I think the crux of the matter here is they probably should have said to the guy, call the floor over and just explain to him. Even a drunk person could probably understand. No, you cannot leave. If you take your chips, your seat's gone.
Yeah. Right.
If you want to leave them, they'll be perfectly safe.
Yep.
Your seat will be here when you get back. But if you take them, your seat's gone.
Yeah.
Into discussion.
Yeah, right. And then if he gets belligerent, then security comes over and they deal with the drunk like any drunk they deal with. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. We got an email from Cody. We were talking last episode about how every casino should have a $5 table, $5 craps table. If they have craps, regardless of what kind of a casino is, they should have a $5 craps table to kind of accommodate people who are lower rollers, right? Yeah.
Well, or maybe somebody who wants to learn the game.
Yeah.
Somebody who's a lower roller.
Yeah.
Or maybe just maybe some guy who bets a lot, but just likes a $5 game, right? I mean, sometimes, seriously, you'll go to a table that has high limit, and there'll be like 3 people playing it.
Yeah, I know. Right?
And we all shoot bad. And then there's like 3 of us, and, none of us wants to roll because it's like, well, my rolling's been terrible. My rolling's been terrible. Sometimes you like to go to the $5 game that's kind of full, the table, and hope that you catch that person who has that great roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Well, Cody's example, he said that his wife, not much of a gambler, she sets aside about $50 a day for gambling.
When they go to Vegas.
Yeah, right. And, think about that. For the average person, that's very reasonable. $50?
Yeah, right.
For somebody who's really not a gambler, it's like, all right, well, I'm willing to lose $50.
Well, if you think about what a person makes, an average person.
Yeah.
That's a chunk of money of their daily wages. Their daily wages might be $100.
Absolutely.
So that's half a day's pay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's why I think it's important to at least have $5 blackjack tables. You probably could play a while with $50 at a table. I know I've lost 10 hands in a row at a $5 table and then my bankroll's gone. But, hopefully you could play for a little while at a $5 blackjack table. But think of a $5 craps table and you've got a $50 bankroll.
You cannot get much out there.
There's not much you can do. Maybe only bet the pass line. And if you're doing that, that could be extremely dull.
Those are the people you see in the field.
Yeah, that's true.
Just a $5 field better.
But even that, could go so fast.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
I was telling Cody that really, if you've got $5 blackjack tables at a casino, the limit on your craps table should really be like $2.
Right.
Right. To make it comparable.
Right. Exactly.
Because so much more money can go out on the craps table. Now you'll never see that.
No, that you'll never see. But you would think the casinos would be, I don't know if wise enough is the right term, but friendly enough to always have a $5 table.
Yeah.
It's good PR.
Yeah.
It's great PR. Listen to this. It's great PR. God, why don't they pay attention?
If your casino only has like 2 craps tables, well, okay, then
right. What
maybe
can
that's
do?
it. But we're talking about casinos that have maybe 4 or 5 tables.
He's talking about Vegas here.
Yeah, right.
Most casinos have at least 4.
Yeah. So we're certainly in favor of low limits because think about it, Mike. When you go to a lower limit table, let's say it's a $5 minimum table, right?
Right.
Not everybody's betting $5. There are plenty of people there making $10, $15, $25 bets all over the table.
We're always playing at a $5 or $10 table, and I'm always making $25
And
bets.
you're not the only one,
No.
right? Yeah, absolutely. So.
Well, and at the end of his email, he did say that consequently, him and his wife, because she can't play with him as much.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring for her. They have no desire to go back to Vegas.
Yeah, right.
And, these are the kind of people that are probably
especially the Strip.
Yeah, especially the Strip.
Yeah.
They're going to be going to their local casinos.
Yeah, yep.
Where they can get better limits, So, wake up, Vegas.
Yeah.
You gotta, even on the Strip, you've got to have some room for those people.
Yeah, yep, exactly. All right, we got an email from Victor. He was playing at a 6-5 blackjack table at the Monte Carlo. Now, I want to preface this by saying don't blame Victor for playing at a 6-5 table. He had gone with a bunch of friends, and they had kind of descended on the table before he realized it was 6-5. And he was with a bunch of friends who kind of, they were there to have fun. And it wasn't, if he had brought up, we need to move to a 3-2 table. It's like, we're here.
It's like
let's
the pit
play.
where it's 6-5, but there's dancing girls in the middle.
You
got to go that. You make a decision. It's a plus minus thing.
So anyway, he was there. He was at a 6-5 table. So don't blame him. Anyway, they got to talking to the dealer, and the dealer suggested that if you get a blackjack on this table and the dealer's showing an ace, you might as well take even money, since it's only 6-5 if you don't take even money and you win.
Okay.
Right. This is what the dealer told him. All right. Let's first some background. Okay. At blackjack, when the dealer is showing an ace, they will offer you a side bet called insurance. This bet is insurance against the dealer having a blackjack, right? Insurance costs half of your initial wager. And it pays 2-to-1. So if you bet $10 on a hand of blackjack, insurance would cost you $5.
Right.
Right? After you make this bet, you put the bet out there. After you make this bet, the dealer checks his hole card. If he doesn't have blackjack, you lose the insurance bet and the hand continues.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you win your hand? You get 1.5. You lost a half.
Well, no.
We're
not. Let's back up even more.
Okay.
We're not saying that you have blackjack yet.
Oh, okay. All
okay.
right.
Well, I'm just explaining how
the dealer
insurance
has
works.
Blackjack.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just explaining insurance. So if the dealer does not have blackjack, your insurance bet loses. He takes it and the hand continues.
Right.
Now, if he does have blackjack, your initial bet loses, assuming you don't also have blackjack, right? Your initial bet loses. And your insurance bet wins 2-1. So the insurance covers your initial bet, right? If you had $10 on the hand and you bet $5 on insurance, you lose the $10 initial bet, but the insurance, again, it pays 2-1, it wins $10, so you break even.
Right.
Right? So that's how insurance works. All right. Now let's say you're at a 3-2 table. You have blackjack and the dealer is showing an ace. Okay? If the dealer doesn't have blackjack, you're going to win 3-2, right? $15 in our example, right? You have a $10 bet, you'll win 15. If the dealer does have blackjack, you'll push.
You'll get
right?
nothing.
Nothing, right? It's a push, right? If you both have blackjack. Okay, so what some people like to do in this situation is call out even money. And the dealer will pay them even money whether or not he has blackjack.
Yeah, before he even looks.
He doesn't even need to look.
He'll just pay.
That's right. Now, how does this work? Okay, when the player calls out even money, what he's really saying is, I'll take insurance.
Yeah.
Okay? So in our example, $10 initial bet, $5 insurance. Okay? If the dealer doesn't have blackjack, the insurance loses, and the $10 gets paid at 3-2. So $15 in our example. So the net profit for the player is $10.
Even money.
Right? He won 15 on the blackjack, but he lost $5 on the insurance, $10. Even money. Okay? If the dealer does have blackjack, the initial bet pushes, and the insurance bet pays 2-1, or $10 in our example. Even money. Right? So that's what they say. When you've got a blackjack, dealer has an ace, you say even money, they just give you even money. Okay. It's not a good bet.
No.
Insurance is never good.
No, you should never take it.
Right? But some people do it. I guess if you're counting cards, you might know when insurance is a good bet. But if you're not counting cards, never bet insurance. Okay, so now this dealer at Monte Carlo told Victor that in a 6-5 game, well, you might as well go ahead and take even money in this situation because even if the player won outright, he'd only get paid 6-5. Right? So why not just take even money?
It sounds good.
It sounds good, right? But the math doesn't work.
Right.
The whole reason you can take even money at a 3-2 table is because the blackjack pays 3-2.
Exactly.
Right? You can't take even money at a 6-5 table. The dealer was wrong. Let's go through the math at a 6-5 table.
Right.
If the dealer has blackjack, yes, you'd get even money because your insurance bet would win, right? $10, and your initial bet would push. $10. But if the dealer doesn't have blackjack, you'd lose the $5 insurance bet, and you'd get paid $12 on your initial bet.
On your $10 bet, right.
Right. So the net is $7. You win 12, you lose 5.
You win 7, not 10.
Yeah. Right? So, I mean, that's not even money.
Right.
So if you are at a 6-5 table and the dealer's saying, oh, would you like to take even money? Yeah, absolutely do it. Right?
Yeah, right.
It's the right thing to do. Now, you shouldn't be at a 6-5 table to begin with. So it's not like this is a way to make 6-5 tables better because it really isn't.
We found the secret.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the dealer was wrong. And we checked with our dealer friend. Yes. I actually contacted her and said, hey, I want to make sure I'm not missing some secret rule that 6-5 tables have, right, for this, where they let you do this. All right. We want to talk on this episode about average daily theoretical. We've talked about it briefly in the past, but we thought it'd be a good time to talk about it just because it's kind of affected people that we know directly. And so we wanted to kind of talk about how it works and things that you kind of need to be aware of. So some comps that you get from casinos are based on what the casino calculates as your average daily theoretical loss. Or average daily theoretical win, if you want to look at it. It's the average daily theoretical, and it's basically
it's a made-up number.
No, it's not a made-up number.
It is a made-up number. Stick with that. But
it's based on how long you play, how much you're wagering, and what games you're playing.
Yeah,
right?
And how long you play and what you're wagering are not always the exact how long you played and how much
certainly
you
if
wagered.
you're at a table game. If you're at slots,
at a slot
they can keep track exactly.
Slot it is more.
Yeah. But anyway, they generate this average daily theoretical, ADT, and some of the comps that you get are based on that. Now, what does a day constitute? Usually a casino day is from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. Some casinos use different hours. Some go like 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. I don't think anybody goes midnight to midnight, but I guess that's possible. Mm-hmm. Usually, it's some early morning hour where.
Right. Because most people play past midnight.
Right. Exactly.
Is what it is.
Right. Into the wee hours. So let's say you played at a casino on one day, playing 8 hours, and you were playing a certain kind of game where they expected you to lose 100 hours, theoretically.
$100.
Yeah, it's $100, not 100 hours. They expect you to lose $100 theoretically. You could have, won $500, but they're basing it on their mathematical edge.
Yeah, they're looking at the edge they have on the game, and they're multiplying it by the number of hands that you played.
Mm-hmm, right.
And they know how many hands per hour. So if you're there a certain amount of hours, you played a certain number of hands, you multiply that by their house edge, and then they come up with your average theoretical, in most cases, loss.
Right. And it's a theoretical. And they may even base it on the way you play. Maybe if you're at blackjack, if you're playing basic strategy, your theoretical loss might be lower than if you're, doing crazy things, splitting tens all day, right? Something like that. Okay. So, you play one day, $100 is your average daily theoretical. They're going to, go to their comp machine, say, oh, he, on average loses $100 a day. Here's what we were going to give him.
Right.
Now, let's say instead you played 4 hours over each day for 2 days.
Right. You're at a casino for a weekend.
Yeah.
So Friday night and Saturday, say you played 4 hours each day.
Yeah. You're playing exactly the same, right? Same game, playing exactly. You're even playing the same number of hours.
Right.
But you're spreading it over 2 days.
Right.
Okay?
So in essence, you're cutting your daily theoretical in half.
Right. So in our example, your average daily theoretical now would be $50 loss, right? Same amount of time, but since it's over a period of 2 days, your average daily theoretical goes down. You're not going to get as good a comps.
Correct.
Right?
Right. Because they're looking at saying, well, this guy only comes in and loses $50 a day.
Right. Exactly. Compared to some guy who came in once every, 3 months or whatever and loses $100
a day. Yeah.
Now, what can really hurt you is if you're playing at a casino regularly and you've got a pretty standard ADT, right? You play pretty much the same every day, right?
Right.
But then one day you go into the casino, maybe to get like a buffet or something, and, you're with some people and they say, oh, we're going to use the restroom real quick. And you say, okay, well, I'll just play $20 on this slot, right?
Yeah, right. You're just waiting for them.
Yeah.
And I've done this a million times.
Yeah.
I put $20 in a slot machine and just go through it real quick while they're in the bathroom.
Right. And say you're playing somewhere where your average daily theoretical loss is $100. You play $20 in a slot machine and that's all you do for the day. Your average daily theoretical for that day might be 20 cents.
Right. And so if you were only there 2 days, the day before your theoretical was 100, the next day it's 20 cents, then it's $100.20 divided by 2.
Yeah. So it's essentially it's $50, right? You've killed yourself by playing that stupid slot for just $20, right?
Right.
It's something you need to keep in mind,
Well, it's hard because people, they don't think about this.
Oh, of course not.
And it's not really an issue if, let's say, you live in, Kentucky and you're going to Vegas for a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to play at a bunch of different casinos.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to get a lot of comps anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
it doesn't really matter if you put the $20 in.
Yeah.
What this does affect is the recreational gambler who goes to his local casino or goes to Vegas very frequently and plays in one place.
Well, see, that's the thing. There are plenty of people who will go to Vegas, go to one hotel, stay there the whole time. Yeah,
right. And play the whole time and expect to get some comps back out of that.
Right.
And they're not getting it if they hurt their daily theoretical.
Well, here's one thing, too, in that example. Let's say you go to Vegas. Let's say you're there just for 2 nights, right? You get in late on Friday night. You go straight to bed. Right. I know that's a crazy example.
It doesn't happen, but let's say it did.
Okay. You wake up the next morning, you play like crazy all day, right? Yeah. And then Sunday morning, your flight is at like 12 o'clock. So Sunday morning you get up and again, I'll play just a little bit.
Yeah.
You play like 10 minutes at a table.
Right. You eat breakfast, you go and play a little bit at a table.
You've killed your average daily theoretical because of that Sunday morning play where you hardly gave him any action. Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah, I know.
I hate this. And here's why. It's the casino telling you, oh, don't play today.
Yeah, really.
Right? And once again, think about the PR.
Yeah.
What they should do. And here's another thing. Casinos, if anyone is got an ear open, why not, if a guy is, let's say he's $100 a day theoretical loss. Mm-hmm. Well, if he puts $20 in a slot machine on the next day, why don't we just ignore that?
Yeah.
Because he obviously didn't play his standard gambling, right?
Yeah.
Just ignore it. Put up a limit. Say, well, it has to be at least 50% of what he played his average is.
That is true. If it's something so small,
it's something
and clearly,
so small, right?
Yeah.
Then just ignore it.
Yeah.
And just say, this is an aberration.
Yeah, right.
There's got to be some kind of standard deviation thing that they can figure out, like, oh, this didn't fall within his parameters.
Yeah.
So we're going to ignore this.
Maybe some casinos do it, although we have seen firsthand that some are not doing it.
Yes,
because
they're not doing it.
So
and it's hurting them. So what you're doing is driving away a good player.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Just take your business somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, whether or not you like it, it's a fact of life, at least right now.
Right,
So, people need to be aware of it.
So what you do is you go to that one casino for that one day.
Yeah.
Maybe your big bet. The next day, if you want to gamble, go to a different casino.
That's true, right? If you have that option, just go across the street.
Just go across the street to a different place and play your 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Give them your $300 or $400.
Yeah, maybe a place you've never been before.
Right.
Because then suddenly you'll get into their system, and then maybe you will. Because a lot of times to a new player, they'll give some comps, right? Just to try to get them to come back. Yeah, that's true.
Sure, and even like in San Diego, you just go to a closer casino to you than the one you normally go to,
right?
And give them your $300 or $400.
Yeah. All right. So we want to remind everybody that VIMF is coming up in October. And just this last week, the Vegas Gang podcast talked about a new event that they're going to be having this year called the VIMF Hangover Casino Challenge Cup.
All right.
And right now it's scheduled for Sunday morning, thus the hangover. You're going to be hungover when you're doing this.
Yes.
It's right now it's scheduled for Sunday morning. They say they may change it to Saturday, but for right now it's Sunday. It is a private multi-game casino gambling tournament. Private meaning, VIMF members. There's going to be like a sign up ahead of time. And there's going to be a buy-in. It's real gambling. You'll buy in for a certain amount and you'll get a certain amount of tournament chips.
Okay.
And we're going to be playing in the high limit area of the Golden Gate. And it's basically kind of a round robin thing where you're playing a bunch of different games. And then whoever at the end has the most chips wins the tournament. And
kind of like one of these, like where you might go and there's a slot blackjack tournament combined.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You're playing different games. Now there's still, a lot of the details are still being ironed out. So we don't have any more details other than that. It's going to be in the Golden Gate high limit room, which I've never been into before. But I'm assuming they're not going to have craps because craps is fairly unusual in high limit rooms. You usually don't see it there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they usually don't mix the slot machines with the table games either in the high limit rooms.
Yeah, that's true. I would suspect we're not going to play slots either simply because we're getting tournament chips, right?
Right.
But I imagine it's going to be like blackjack, baccarat, Pai-Gow. Yeah.
Maybe some other odd game.
Right. Stuff like that. And it looks like when you sign up, multiple people can sign up as one entry.
Okay.
Right. So I think that you and I, as a gambling podcast,
we should have you can bet on that entry.
We should probably have a you can bet on that entry. You can play like the real easy games, like Baccarat, where you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have like Pai-Gow tiles, and that'll be my thing.
That'll be your thing.
Right?
Yeah. So like your Pai-Gow tiles.
Well, I'll have to if that's going to be one of the games, I'm going to have to brush up. But yeah, we're definitely.
How about this? How about you play the games where it'd be wise to be conservative, and I play the games where it'd be wise to go crazy?
Okay, that actually does sound like a good idea. All right, more details are going to come out about this, but the VIMF Hangover Casino Challenge Cup.
I'd like to win that cup.
Oh, it'd be so nice.
Yep. People will be drinking out of it. It'll be like the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, all right.
Everyone and their mothers drank out of that.
Did you ever see that? There was some sketch show where they made like a Jell-O mold out of the Stanley Cup. They had it upside down and just made a big Jell-O.
Mold.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonThat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Dr. Mike, what do you have for us?
Well, I got two things to end this show with. Number one, we just had 4th of July.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I hope everyone had a good 4th of July. And it's important on the 4th of July to remember why this country is so great. You know, and everyone will say our freedom and stuff, but we were able to gamble.
Yeah.
Right?
At least in person.
In person, right. Yeah, maybe not on the internet, but we are able
Hopefully
to
that's
gamble
coming.
in person.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can go and do your thing. In a lot of countries around the world, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of a nice thing. It's one of the freedoms we enjoy being in America.
All right.
And number two, starting actually last night.
Yep.
Is Comic-Con in San Diego, which is a huge thing in San Diego.
Yep.
And we're going to be there.
Yep. And there's a semi-Vegas related panel going on.
Nice.
And I'm not going to mention it now because I don't know if I can get into it or not. I'll talk to you about it after the show. But we may have a report from Comic-Con for our next episode.
Wow, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
And the real reason to go to Comic-Con, if people out there have never been, I mean, even if you're not interested in, say, comics or superheroes
pop
or
culture,
their
that kind
pop
of- yeah.
culture. I mean, there's something for everyone actually there.
Yeah.
But go to see the people.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you really want to go for. You want to go and see the people.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep, it's fun. Yeah.
It's like Las Vegas Strip on steroids.
Yeah, I guess so. Except they're not trying to get money from you. That's the nice thing. They're in costume. They're having a good time, but they're not trying to get money from you.
Yeah, and there's no porn flippers.
As far as I know, there haven't been.
Flippers, flappers, what is
the
it?
porn slappers.
Flappers.
Yeah, right.
Flappers.
That's right.
That's coming, probably. That will probably be coming.
Yeah. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.